All right, Q, thank you so much, man, for joining little brother, the little big fella, with testimony service. This is something that I love to inspire people who have overcome the good, the bad, and the challenges we face as industry professionals. What you do, man, is so important for the community, for the culture. You do great work. And I want to start off, man, just by getting your testimony. I just want to ask you, man, give me your earliest memories of what God has done in your life and where He brought you from.
Wow, that's a strong thing. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. My name is Darnell Robinson. I am in the industry currently right now as a concert promoter. I am on tour right now with the We the Ones comedy tour right now. And this is an honor and blessing to be back in the fold after being on a hiatus for a while. So on a lighter note, I started out as an intern and on the entertainment side, because I know people like, how do you go from that to that? Well, I started, I wanted to basically I always know what I wanted to do, right? So I started out as an intern and I wanted to know exactly what it was like to be behind the scenes in the business. So I started out in the business back in 91 and in a mom and pop store. So you see all the, posters and decorations and stuff like that in the stores and stuff like that. So I used to go in, put all the decorations up and stuff like that. And I also used to take all the stars around, pick them up and take them to all their showcases and stuff like that. And just basically wanted to be in the scenes. And I just started from there and I just worked my way on up and fast forwarded it. Went to school. I got my degree at the University of Detroit Mercy. I got my degree in business in '08. And I got my business degree in 2010, and I am working right now currently, and right now as a tour manager right now on the We Are the Ones comedy tour. And I have also been able to stay and be in the music business for a hefty over 30-something years. And with a wealth of knowledge, I've worked with some of the best in the game, and I am proud to say that this has been one of the blessings of the industry, being able to be behind the scenes, working with artists and development, doing your own shows from concert promotion, and it's just been great. It's an honor.
That's what's up. What are some of the other tours and some of the other artists you got a chance to work with?
Who's who? Starting out in the game, one of the highlights would be Usher. 95 with him, ironically in the Fox Theater where we're currently right now. Standout moment would be with him, Monica, and Immature, December of 95. I've worked with him. I've worked with Tupac. I've worked with Biggie. I've worked with B.Rut, Jermaine Dupri. That's earlier stuff, right? I've worked with DC Young Fly, Chico Bean, which we're currently on tour with right now. I've got a chance to, my laundry list spans, the DOC, Ice Cube. I've been able to say I've been a mainstay in this industry for a long time. Obviously, I've been out for a while due to medical reasons, but God has blessed me to be back. And I'm also a veteran, disabled veteran right now. And obviously, U.S. Army veteran. I've served my country proudly, and I was out for medical reasons. I have PTSD, epilepsy, deal with seizures a lot, and I am on my 21st surgery.
Wow.
Yeah, I was hurt while I was on active duty. I was overseas. serving my country proudly. And unfortunately, an incident prolonged my, stopped me from basically being able to continue serving. But when one door closes, another opportunity opens, and I was able to come back, and I was able to basically start helping other veterans, and which that door was opened up by working for the Department of Veteran Affairs, which I was able to help veterans, secure their benefits. So that was an avenue for me to do that, which I was proudly able to do, and go to school and acquire my degree, my master's degree at the same time. So I was able to do that. So you can call that a twofold in a sense.
That's what's up, man. And you said you're on your 21st surgery.
Yes.
Take me back to the first surgery. Why did you have to get surgery?
Well, I had an injury that back in 97, 98, a cut that got infected, and it just ran rapid in my body. And so when an infection occurs, and for those of you that may not know, you have to get it, you have to contain it. And once it starts, in order for it to be contained, you have to make sure that it doesn't spread throughout your body. And so I had to have an emergency surgery in Fort Hood, Texas. And that's what ended up happening. And so thank God they were able to the reason why I'm pausing, because this is like taking me back a lot. So you have to excuse me. There's a lot of motion with that, because being able to get out of the rigors of the world and serve, and then coming from Detroit, Michigan, as a young black man, you want to basically serve your country, but also you want to be a role model. You also want to show, your family, and show, people that you can do things without being cliche in the world. The typical sell drugs, go to prison, and those were the things that I was striving for at the time. And at the time, I was unable to do that because I got injured, and I was in a hiatus of, I didn't know what I was going to do at the time, because I felt like I was a failure. And when you go through those things, you go through a thing, and I was depressed. So full circle, I was able to basically get some help. And at the time, I didn't know anything about therapy. I didn't know what PTSD was. So when you start going through those dark tunnels, you don't know that there's things out there. And thank God there was help for me out there with the VA. And, for those that don't know, that there are things that you can go. There are people that can help you. And at the time, I didn't know that those things were there for me. And thank God I was able to go to the VA, and I was able to get help. Well, to give some context to what I was talking about, I was in the infantry. I was a 19 Delta. And what that means to some people, that was recon. And when you are in those type of fields, one day you can be serving with people, training with people, and then the next minute you are putting those bodies in bags. And I hope this is not being too graphic, but somebody has to basically be picked on details to say, hey, if there is a detail to say, somebody has to go and retrieve bodies, right? Somebody has to go and retrieve that severed head, those limbs, those toes, those fingers, and then reattach them and put them together, because somebody has to go and make sure that that body is intact as much as possible, so we can ship that body back So there's other things that goes, but I'm just giving you some context. So we can also be put on this detail so somebody can go and do the driving Miss Daisy, but driving the captain or the major or whoever has to go and knock on the door and say ding dong and let that loved one know that that soldier is no longer coming back. And I was on those details. And when that service time is over with, right, there is no deactivation machine, right, that extracts that information out of you. So when your service time is no longer, right, that stuff still stays with you. And when you ask the question, who was there, I was married at the time, and that loved one who took the time to say that they were loving me and said that they were going to be with me, they weren't there. At the time, seemingly, I was going through dark halls because you think that family's going to be there for you. You think you got loved ones, but at the time, realistically, and I know people want a happy story, but realistically, the only people that was there for me at the time, because they helped me at the time, was the VA. And if I hadn't been in the VA, I wouldn't be here today. And I'm not just using that as a storyline. I'm just basically saying that the VA was there because fellow vets rallied around me and said that I was at the wit's end. And they told me, they said, hey, this is when you need us the most. And that community, that fraternity of the brotherhood was there for me when there was no other people that could ever be there. And that is something that I owe them. And I was at the time when, because you got to think about it like this, when you leave, right, there was family members that I couldn't connect with, I couldn't have conversations with because they didn't know what it was like to be over there and to have dialogue with, because the qualifications, they weren't there because they never served, right? So, and then whoever you were having romance with, right? Dialogue with, hi, hon, how you doing? Hey, yeah, well, we just killed 200 some people. That was unrealistic. You couldn't have dialogue with, right? So you have to put things in perspective, right? So, and then there you have your other people that would say, well, nobody told you to do this. So you have to understand that there were people that wasn't there. And then people will say, well, you need some help. Well, if they never served, if they never came from, poverty, if they never had the qualifications, how could they reach me at the time, right? So I was drinking, I was being in promiscuous situations, so I was dealing with issues that was way beyond the typical reach. So people can have their judgmental things, but during those dark halls, we didn't know what PTSD was. So how can I define something? How can I have dialogue? How can we treat something that we didn't know anything about at the time, right? So it's easy to sit here and say, yeah, we'll go take these pills and sit down and talk with somebody, but we didn't know what it was at the time. So fast forwarding now, I'm an advocate of basically saying, these are the things that I love to talk about. And I'm there here today. I'm surrounded with people here today that are helping me. And I'm glad to be doing what I'm doing here today. And I wouldn't be here without my brothers. And I'm glad to be speaking about this in conjunction with doing the entertainment that I love. And thank you for this opportunity to speak on this. And I'll continue speaking about it because I love what I do. And I am also here to say, if you have issues about PTSD, depression, don't let anybody talk to you, shame you, speak about it, get help, because this is real. This is not something that you can just deal with on your own. I couldn't deal with it on my own. But I want to say this, you have to get help with the credible people. Talking with people that have never had the qualifications, that's not going to help you. You have to get help with people that know what they're doing. That is what is going to help you. I also want to say, if you guys are interested in doing what I'm doing, I always tell people, follow your heart, follow your passion, but it's nothing wrong with going to school, man, and going and get your education and, learn the industry first before you jump out there. I always knew what I wanted to do, but I wanted that certification. I wanted people to know exactly what I was talking about. And I thought that was the great way to do it first. And I also surrounded myself with like-minded people. And I always thought that was the great way to do it. And that was something that I thought was great for me. And if that's something that I think that will work for you, I think those are the things that would be great for the Tools for Success. And on that note, thank you. God bless. Good night.
B.Rut Pro.com